Hey Reddit. What's your creepiest glitch in the Matrix or unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? Like and subscribe to support the channel. And share your creepy Matrix stories in the comments below. Taking the trash out at night. Super remote area, so I know for a fact we're the only ones around here. Getting close to the road and I hear very clearly, "Help me," from a female voice. Even knowing there's such a slim chance of there being another living person around, I still feel like I should look around and check it out in case I wasn't just hearing things and someone actually needs help. Take about 2 steps in the direction I thought I heard it. Hear a giggle in the same exact voice. Turn around and walk promptly back up the driveway because frick that shiz. Anyone who actually needed help wouldn't be laughing. I don't think. You almost got fucking Pennywized. Top level child predator shiz. Gonna be tough to get that out of my mind. Similar experience. Walking home in a residential neighborhood at night. I was 14 at the time and this car is driving behind me very slowly. Too slowly. It pulls over about 5 feet ahead of me and stops. Alarm bells were already ringing at that time and I book it home. Just pure adrenaline. I burst through the front door. Hyperventilating. Managed to get out what happened to my dad, who takes off sprinting down the street. Sure enough, Dad finds the car and is like, "What's going on, man?" The guy laughs and says his car died. He must have really scared me for me to run like that. Hardy ha. Good laugh at my expense. Dad says, "I'll be right back. I'll jump you." Dad goes back literally under 2 minutes. This was maybe 1.5 football fields away from my house. But not a straight shot and guy isn't there. Well, guess who's laughing now? No one, because it was terrifying. I was working on my motorcycle in a dirt lot where I had crashed it trying to do a sick drift. Breaking off the clutch lever and the gear shifter. I had brought a wrench set with me and I was using one of them to take off a bolt when I put it down on the ground to finish unscrewing the bolt with my hand. 2 minutes later I went to pick it back up and it was gone. I ran all around this dirt lot looking for it to no avail. Luckily I had a spare in the car. Fixed the bike and drove back to my apartment to shower as I was filthy. I walked in my room and sitting on my desk was the wrench. I was dumbfounded. 10mm. That happens all the time. Is this a phenomenon I haven't heard about? Gave me fucking chills because I have a set in the garage hanging on the wall missing only the 10mm. This reminds me of when I was in dance as a little girl. I remember throwing my dance shoe over my shoulder as I was getting ready in my room. When I turned around to grab it I couldn't find it anywhere. My mom and I searched for 10 minutes before we decided to leave without the shoe so we wouldn't be too late to practice. We found the slipper in my winter boot by the porch just as we were leaving. Which was across the house from where I was when I tossed my slipper. Guardian angel slowing you down to miss the wreck on your way home? But was nice enough not to steal the wrench by putting it on the desk with a side helping of "See Steampunker 13. I'm working to keep you alive. Help me out here a bit please." 1985. My ex-wife and I were sleeping. There was a small sliver of light coming in through the window from a streetlight. So the room and bed were dimly visible. Our black Pomeranian was at the end of the bed asleep. I dreamt that I woke up, reached down to pet him, and he turned into a glossy black bivalve oyster thing which opened up to reveal rows of gleaming glass teeth. I woke up to my ex backpedaling up the bed over the pillows towards the wall. I asked, "What's wrong?" She said, "What is that shiny black clam thing with the teeth at the end of the bed?" Where's the dog? We had had the same nightmare at the same time. This still gives me a chill. Sorry that your dog was haunted. That's actually a requirement for Pomeranians. Maybe your wife woke up and was asking these same questions out loud while you were still asleep. You subconsciously heard her and in those few seconds formed your own dream based on what she said. Then you woke up while she was still asking the questions that caused your dream. I've told this story before and could go into a ton of detail, but here's the short version. I am 100% sure I vividly remember a dog that apparently doesn't exist. When I was 16 we lived on the other side of the province and my uncle had this little Jack Russell named Crew. Crew went missing for several months and then turned up at a humane society over an hour away and we were all shocked this little dog has made it so far. Anyway, that was almost 20 years ago and the other day I was talking to my parents and was like, whenever I hear about Jack Russells I think about Crew and that stunt he pulled, and they had no idea what I was talking about. Insisted my uncle had never had such a dog. I must have dreamed it. Etc. Honestly, anyone else who would have remembered this dog has been dead for a long time and I don't even have any pictures of my uncle. I have absolutely no way to prove this dog existed, but I'm sure that he did. They may have just forgotten. My parents are like this as well. Not that long ago I was telling them about a letter I had written to my dad while he was away a few years ago. They both insisted I must have dreamt it. But I found it not long after. Sometimes people can be forgetful. It doesn't necessarily mean Crew didn't exist. Very true. It was a chaotic time. My uncle passed away very unexpectedly shortly before we moved and everything felt like a whirlwind. I still wish I could prove or disprove the existence of this dog because I remember him so vividly and my family does not. Not even my brothers, though they were much younger and don't remember much about that time at all. I remember a trip my family took that never happened. I wrote about it in elementary school and my mom was so confused and told me I must have dreamt it. I'm 29 and still vividly remember walking through the field to this cool little house with my family. So confusing. I was driving about 50 miles per hour, and a car ran a stop sign on an on-ramp and pulled out right in front of me. I remember bracing for impact and then I was about 300 yards down the highway and I saw the car at the ramp in my rearview. Just about to pull out. As someone who just watched all the Final Destination movies, I can confidently say that you're going to die. As somebody who hasn't seen any Final Destination movies, I can confidently say, they are going to die. You died on the spot and your mind is living an alternate timeline. AKA quantum immortality. I was walking my dog and I was almost to the driveway when I looked down for some reason and I looked back up and I ended up being back at the road about 6 blocks away from where I thought I was. I was so confused, but my dog looked completely fine. FYI, I don't drink or do drugs. I'm still pretty young. Maybe you had a transient ischemic attack that caused a gap in your memory. I am 99% convinced this happened to me as a teenager and no one believes me. A friend and I both worked Wednesday mornings at the same time, different places. So I would pick her up and drop her off. Then go to my work. One day I got to her house. And I remember thinking that I need to call her to let her know I'm here. But all of a sudden the phone call is there minutes in and she's just saying my name over and over, asking why I'm just sitting there. I remember feeling weak, and my arm holding my phone left-handed was so hard to pick up to my ear. Apparently I called her, then just blanked out. She saw from the window, answered me call, and kept asking if I was okay because I just sat there in my car like a deer in headlights. To this day I have no idea what possessed me to just lapse 5 minutes in time. But it's never happened again in my life. 6 blocks, that's freaky. If it was just a few meters I probably would chop it up to not paying attention or something. But that's intense. I had just pulled into the parking lot of where I worked and was walking towards the building. It was like 3 in the afternoon. Broad daylight. All of a sudden, I heard an ambulance's siren start sounding. Naturally, I looked down the road to try and see the ambulance. I see it approaching and decided to watch it for a bit. It was quickly getting closer, and it was about to pass right by me. However, there was a large SUV waiting to turn out of the parking lot and onto the road, blocking a few meters of the road from my view. The ambulance passed behind the SUV, probably about 50 feet away from me at most, and I vividly remember the siren becoming completely silent in that instant. The ambulance had vanished entirely as it passed behind that SUV. I was so confused. The road did not have many cars on it at the time. And it was broad daylight. I did a triple take and made sure that I didn't just miss it. I had a clear view of the road going both directions. And there was no more ambulance to be seen. No more siren either. I walked up and down the road, trying to find it for a solid minute. But nope, it was gone. I was well rested, not on drugs, and I didn't have a history of hallucinations. It seems dismissible, but I was completely aware of what happened. And I can't explain it to this day. As someone who used to have such hallucinations, security footage helps a great deal. Also, a pet is really useful. If they aren't responding, I could relax. Pets help so much with this sort of thing at home. I used to have terrible sleep paralysis. Thankfully it hasn't happened in about a year now. I woke up once to fairy demon things hovering just above my bed and glowing, which normally I would have stayed somewhat calm until they left, but I also visualized my cat hissing at them with her ears flat back. Really messed with me that my mind did that to me. When things are not the things I thought. And not the things I think they ought. And not the things I think they were. And all my thoughts are all a blur. When things are not the things I knew. And do not do the things they do. And do not seem the things they seem. And all my thoughts are all a dream. When things are not the things I see. And when my mind plays tricks on me, I turn my thoughts to you, and then I think I feel all right again. My friend Sarah was in a nightclub, drunk off her face, when she got an overwhelming urge to tell a total stranger that her leg hurts. Man, that's wicked cool. It's also wicked sad. What the? My wife passed away a year ago today. Had some odd things happen, like a couple of old meaningful pictures show up that I swore were in storage. The strangest one was I vacuumed the carpet, and as soon as I was done, a diamond ring was on the ground right where I had just cleaned. It was like she was saying, "Hey, this one is real, don't lose it. This one is really lovely. I'm sorry for your loss. I hope finding these things brought back some wonderful memories. I'm sorry for your loss. Hugs." Similar story, but kind of funny. My father hated spiders. Absolutely hated them. So of course, I had a pet tarantula. Missy. I got Missy when I was 3. My father died when I was 17. Exactly 1 year later, on the anniversary of his death, Missy died. We joked that he came back as a ghost just to kill that damn spider. Lol. I remember driving my car to this intersection in this rural area, and I'm checking both sides because of terrible blind spots. In the corner of my eye, my mother is sitting there and says something like, "It's all clear my way." I look back and she isn't there. My mother had been dead for a few years at this point. This was also in the middle of the day, and I've never had it happen since. I actually think that is lovely. I hope you found this heartwarming rather than scary. Sorry for your loss. Not scary, but more of a surprise than anything. Around 12 years old, I was watching Megas XLR. Or something that was on at the time. Sitting there, I noticed that the sun just turned off. Like completely. I was real confused. Opened the blinds and it was dark. Show was still at the same spot. But the clock on the cable box said it was 5 hours later. My best guess for what happened was that I passed out without realizing it. Like those nights where you lay in bed and blink and suddenly it's morning. So I'm guessing I fell asleep sitting up. For exactly enough time to have Cartoon Network play a rerun of the show get to the exact spot I fell asleep at. Was surreal though. I think you just fell into a light sleep. Sometimes when I'm in the passenger seat of a car on a long drive, I'll fall asleep listening to the radio. When I wake up, it feels like I didn't even sleep. And I can remember everything that was on the radio. But the other person in the car is certain I sleep. I snore.